I'm Justin Richardson.
I'm Shawnay, Alexander, and we're about to have a dialect on our relationship with yoga. Alright. So the first question I have for you is, so when did you fall in love with yoga?
Fell in love with yoga last year.
Okay.
I had already did yoga for a couple years, but I kind of like fell off.
Okay.
And it was something that was there, and I would only do it when I felt like, all right, I'm gonna change my life, and I'm gonna get on these good habits and stuff. But then last year, I came here and I took Georgiana's class. I was like, what? Like, I can like decompress and get out of my head and like explore all these cool poses and stuff. And it was just like a whole different world opened up. It's like, this is so cool. So yeah, last year, November or December, right here, Studio 34.
Okay, so it's a new romance. I like that, Like y'all started kicking it, but you wasn't sure. But then you decided, like, okay, I like her. All right, all right. So, was there anything like in particular that drew you to yoga, or did you just like slip upon it? How did it happen?
So I kind of stumbled into it. So I don't know if you remember, like when we introduced ourselves in the beginning. I lost a lot of muscle and like a lot of weight. My friend introduced me to like this Chinese martial arts stuff, and they had this like intense vinyasa flow, and I was like, "What is this? This is a lot." I thought yoga was relaxing and like chill type of stuff, but it was accessible though, cause I couldn't go to the gym or anything at the time, so it was like okay, getting into my body, I can move more. It was. I liked it though because I saw that it was an art to it and like a flow of creativity to it because it was real. Like you hear it and you hear it and you hear it, like it all flowed. There was very little pause and readjust yourself or anything like that. It was so cool, but it was just hard.
Okay.
So I kind of like fell off with it. I ended up hurting my ankle doing something else like in the martial arts stuff. I stopped going to it. Outside of that, I still remember that flow. Like it was still in me, so I would do it every once in a while, and then sometimes, like I would just be high and just start randomly doing it. I don't know what that was about. To this day, I still don't know. Like, I was just doing it.
Do you remember the name of the practice?
I just know they called it vinyasa. That was the first time I heard of that word. They sent me a video of it. I don't know if I still have it. But if I can find it, I'll let you know.
Thank you. That sounds interesting. And it makes me think about like what we were learning about in class, like how like they started doing like some vinyasas for like people that were like in the military and things like that.
Yeah.
So it was kind of surprising to hear you talk about it like that. It was like really hard and like flowy, but also then I like started thinking about that and like made that connection. Like, well, that kind of makes sense because like I just didn't think martial arts would be like connected with vinyasa. But
It was an interesting. I would say it like this. That part was hard, but the other stuff was harder. So that you would kind of lean into this, like, okay, this is the chill part, actually.
wow, okay.
Because the rest of the stuff, it was like all this calisthenics type of stuff, like walking on your hands and stuff. Like literally, some people would like do the handstand and walk around. You have to build yourself up to it.
Yeah.
If you could do it, it was expected of you to do it.
I don't know about that one. All right. So describe your first practice to me. Like, how did you feel about it when you began, and how did you feel about it when you were finished? If you remember.
I didn't know what in the world was going on, but he gave proper instructions, and he was able to like go well and beyond what the clothes was about, which kind of gave me a weird perception because I couldn't do that stuff. So I'm like, everything I'm doing is wrong, but I'm gonna try to attain what he's doing. So that kind of, I don't know if it makes sense, but like that kind of gives me a weird spot where I'm trying to achieve what somebody else can do in their body, which is like, no matter how good you get at the practice, you can only do what you can do. You know, you can't really do what they do. At the end of it, I just felt like I was more in my body. Like that was the first time I realized you can be engaged in something so much that you put your thoughts like way in the background. You don't need to. I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this. You know, I enjoyed it. When I came back to it with Georgiana, that was also different because I realized I had this like competitive nature thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of comparing myself to the teacher, I was comparing myself to everybody in the class. Like, I'm gonna do it better than y'all. Okay. I'm gonna do it like this. And I was like, what is that? Because I'm normally like relaxed and reserved. So I'm like, what is this? Why is that there?
So you feel like that only showed up in yoga? Or like was that one
It's
of the
any
spaces
competitive thing.
Okay.
But
so
it just didn't seem to, like, why is that in yoga? Like, I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes it's still there, and I should be like, no, I'm not engaging in that. Yeah. I don't know. It was just interesting. Because her whole, I don't know if you've been to her class, but her whole thing is that.
No, I haven't.
It's like her whole thing is to just be in your body. Like, there's no goals to achieve here. It's your practice. Okay. She actively encourages you to change the pose and do your own thing. So I think that's why I fell in love with it, because it's like I came in with this macho conquest type thing, and it's like, this has no place here. Just let it go.
Okay, I like that. It opened up your mind to think a different way. I like that. So. All right, so that makes me think of something that I coined that is on and off the metisms. So basically, like, I really like the fact that yoga, like, it brings with you things that you can apply, like, in yoga and on the mat. Like, you just explained, like, the whole idea of competitiveness and how you, like, step back, like, no, I'm not going to entertain that. But it's something that you could also probably, like, apply off the mat, like, whenever you find yourself, like, thinking in those type of ways and not the particularly best space. So like, are there any like on or off the mat isms that you feel like yoga has opened your eyes to?
Where did it begin? So I noticed that like when I was working at Walmart, I had this tendency to just go, like overwork myself nonstop. And that was that same competitive nature in me, like not really respecting my own boundaries and just doing so much well beyond what I'm supposed to be doing. And when I was in Georgiana's class, she kept talking about this edge. Like, you go to, not to the edge, but like right before you get to the edge, because beyond that, you're hurting yourself. Like, respect yourself. Don't hurt yourself. You know. Now I'm like reflecting back on that. Like, this is what happened when I first got into yoga. I was like pushing myself and hurt myself, but I didn't learn a lesson. I just was like, oh, whatever. And I let myself get away from a lot of good habits because of it. So now I'm just like, take my time. Everything comes with patience. I told myself I would never rush to a yoga class too, because I was always like, I gotta do it. And it's like running in, knocking over stuff. And it's like, oh, this is weird. Yeah. It's like, I gotta chill.
I like that. I definitely had to learn my lesson about rushing to yoga class. Like, it definitely feels like anti-yoga.
But even today, because I missed my stop. But whatever.
It happens. All right. I like that. definitely important for us to slow down sometimes. Alright. Has yoga like taught you anything specific about yourself or even others?
About myself. That's a hard one to answer right now because I realize there's an internal world. There's so much going on. And how do I say this? Because it's like all the stuff that's going on, I can't even capture it and put it into words. It's just like it's all that is going on.
Okay. So you feel like you're still learning those lessons, I guess. You
Yeah.
can't really, like put it into words.
Because to me, just the awareness that there is an inner world, when I was just like, I didn't know about that stuff. I was just all in my head, like living life. All physical. It's not anything to do with spirituality. I had no concept of it. With other people, um, I don't know, I just feel like I learned so much from everyone. Everyone is trying their best. Sometimes people need places like this to unpack and like release all the stress they're carrying around. That's one big thing I learned. Is like, people go through a lot. Like you see them and like
Yeah.
you see maybe not even half of it, like what's like what's all in them.
Right. It's like just the surface, like basically.
Yeah. It's not a mask per se, but it's definitely like all of me can't show up at every given time.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. Cause like, I don't know. Now I feel like I'm thinking a bit too deep, but like, how overwhelming would that be for that person, and then also you, if we were like to bring all of ourselves and everything that we're dealing with and holding like to a particular space, like all at once, like.
Yeah, it's like, cause I think everybody has their like, their person. They're kind of like this way, and I'm like this way. This is my chill friend. This one I have a deep conversations with. You know, cause like she actually has a class coming up soon. The healing sound bath class. That one was like really bring everything to the front. We about to unpack this stuff and let it go. And that class was like, she said, imagine yourself on a beach and all of the anger and anxiety as a wave just come wash over you and let it pass. But my wave was like a tsunami and it took the whole beach. And I was like,
It get like that sometimes.
and I'm like, what'd you just do to me, lady? You ain't know this was, you ain't know all this was gonna happen, did you? But you know,
Neither did you.
I know, like that's the thing. Like
Yeah.
I don't even know all that was in there.
Right.
I was just thinking, like, man, I'm probably not the only one thinking this either. It's probably everybody in this class. Some stuff I had to let go. I didn't even know. Yeah, I just found it's like a lot of respect and compassion for other people.
I like that. Okay. Since we like started talking about spirituality briefly, that was another question that I have. So, is yoga something for you that's like solely physical, or is it something that's spiritual, or is that something like you're just tapping into?
So I'm kind of like, I was into the philosophies and stuff beforehand, but it was so much just theory and like conjecture, and it's like it gets to the point where after a while I was like, what do I even do with this stuff? Is this even applicable? And with yoga, it's like I'm right in the middle of this. Like I'm the actual scientist now. I get to try this stuff. Some of the stuff, like in that book you're reading, it's like so fantastical. It's like it sounds ridiculous, but at the same time, I'm just trying to get the little bit of stuff that make sense and work through it, see what truth I find and let everything else fall to the side. Um, I'm just interested in like what are these people talking about? Like at the end of the day, like what are they talking about? How did they come to these conclusions? And I want to like allow myself to see through to that. In some instances, because it reminds me how Howard said, you don't meditate, it's like, it just kind of happens. Because he was saying there's like a difference between the concentration and the meditation part.
Right.
So sometimes I'm like, oh, there is something here that you can't really intellectualize. You kind of just feel it and you're in it. So that's a big key that I've got from you. Like I said, I was like deep into the book, intellectual type stuff. So like feeling it, living it, breathing it. It's like, yeah, I feel like I've just been getting in touch with my inner world. But as far as like spirituality, it's hard for me to define that stuff. Like, because over the past year, I've been kind of forced to abandon old positions I had as far as like what's true and what's not, what's possible, what's not. I don't know. So I'm just in the middle of it.
So we're still trying to figure it out. Like you're in like you're doing the work. Like you're in the in-betweens.
Yeah, it was like somebody was describing like how when you're in the middle of the journey, like you're on the beach, you're in the boat, you have the lighthouse right there, then you just set sail. And after a while, you don't see your next destination, and you just see like the lighthouse and stuff behind you. And it's like you're in the middle of this thing. You don't know what's going on, like what's going next. I feel like that's where I'm at right now. Like I kinda, sorta know where I wanna be, but how to get there and everything. I don't know.
I like that. I like that. I feel like it's very much like giving like just go with the flow and like exist in the experience, which I feel like for me is like kind of hard sometimes, well, a lot of times. So
yeah,
it's great to hear you describe what that's like.
It's weird because I feel like I almost got, I don't want to say forced into this position, but I had so much anxiety about the destination. Like, I want to be here. I'm not doing enough. I don't know how to get there. How am I gonna get there? And there's like so much anxiety that comes from it. Just gotta let it go. That was a big thing I got from the silent retreat, because I kept having to sit with that anxiety every single time. Like I wanted to achieve something so bad. Like I need to figure something out. If I figure something out, I can share it with everybody else. So it's like it's a win-win. And then it's like I don't know. You have to just let it be. I can't force it. I can't. Like there's nothing I could have did to force it. So I had to just sit there with that, and eventually it's like even if you don't figure something out, you're okay. The world didn't just explode. Like, you know,
oh my God. Yeah, you said a word right there. Wow. I like that. I love that. So this is like a new development for you. But now, like right now, you're comfortable in the space of saying like, I don't know, like I ain't figured it out right now. That's a lot of growth right there.
Like, I know, like as you said that, I was like, oh wow. So yeah, just that part, it actually helped you, I guess.
Yeah.
Halfway accomplished my goal.
I'm cracking up. But you also like achieved something within yourself, which I feel like is huge. Like you were forced to sit with that anxiety, and now you're in a space where like you were able to let it go and acknowledge like, you know what, I don't have everything figured out. Like I don't even know how to answer that question that you just asked me, and like you're okay with it. Like you're not like super anxious about like, no, like I gotta have the answers, like I need to know, like I need to figure out where I'm going and what I'm doing, like, and you're just like enjoying the ride. That's a huge ass like accomplishment. Like
I have a tendency of like pushing everything that ideal way. I don't know. Something else to work on, I guess.
Mm. Yeah, you gotta
If
acknowledge
you asked
yourself.
me, I'd have been like, I ain't really do nothing.
No, you did. That's huge. Like, that's huge. Like, you should acknowledge that. And, like, pick yourself up for that. That's a big step. There you go. There you go. Alright. Let's see what else I got here. Alright, so I know that you aren't sure if you want to teach yoga just yet. So, with that being said, is there anything that you're like eager to share or inspire in others just from like what you're learning from this yoga teacher training?
Definitely the excuse me. Definitely the benefit of like focusing on yourself, like dedicating time to relax, like dedicating time to work on yourself and realize you don't have to solve everything in that moment, and that's okay. Like you can still plant the seeds and let things grow naturally. I don't know, cause it's like it goes into what I was saying before about kind of having anxiety about figuring everything out and being able to give that to other people. So I had that anxiety about like being perfect as a teacher that I'm letting go. It's like not really a possible role to begin with. So, I don't know. I feel like if the world slowed down and just saw what was going on, like just the miracle of being alive, it would just do the whole world so much good. It's just crazy. So like how I was saying about rushing to the yoga classes and stuff, I wasn't looking around or something. I was like straight ahead, I gotta go. And then right after this class, I gotta go to work. Then I gotta go prepare this and do that. It's like so much just darting around. You stop and smell air sometimes. That's why like yoga is so much emphasis on the breath. Just breathe. It's good. So much love there.
You just like brought something up for me as well, like the idea of like teaching and being like a perfect teacher. I personally like I still don't know if I want to teach per se, but I feel like I'm growing closer to the idea because a lot of the reasons why I didn't want to teach was like very similar, like anxieties, like well, like who am I to teach yoga? Like I just started doing yoga, or like I'm not like great at like doing like handstands or like things of this nature, or like I'm not the most consistent person. Like sometimes like I do yoga like hard body like 4 or 5 times a week, and then other times like I don't do it. So it's like I'm not a yogi. Like I was just like finding like all the different reasons like why I wouldn't be a good teacher, and I just felt like that was for one not cool. Like to
That's so
myself
relatable,
to like be like beating up on myself, but then also it was like you said, it's like not realistic. Like what teacher have I ever had that was perfect? Like not one. And I probably like enjoyed each of those individual teachers for their imperfections or for like the unique things that they brought to me, or like that they showed me, or like that they taught me. So like why can't I have like that same like unique thing? You know?
Yeah, like everything you're saying is completely relatable. That's how I was feeling. Because it's like nobody comes into it perfect. But for some reason, I was convincing myself that that's how I had to be. And I felt like you said, like all these teachers, they have their different personalities and quirks and stuff. And I liked it. And for some reason, I couldn't see that, oh, other people would like that about how I teach too.
Right.
Like some people will come to your class just because of it.
Yeah.
Like, not even what you teach, but like who you are.
Right.
I don't know. I was just like you said, that downward spiral of like negative self-talk. It's like, why are you even here?
Exactly. Like, yes, exactly. Look at that thought and be like, why are you even here? Like, why are you even here? Like, let it go. Like,
I feel like, how about I put a fence up or something? Like, how you get in here?
No, real shit. That's very relatable. Why are you even here? Like, that's a big thing. Okay. It makes me think of like what's that card? The nine of swords that we were looking at. Like, yeah. Like,
that was like a halo of swords. That is crazy.
Exactly. Why are they even there? Alright, let's see. Okay. Do you have like a favorite style of yoga?
I can't say because it depends. I'm like very into like how my body feels in that particular moment. On a good day, I would actually prefer like a John Jock type of. We gonna go hard, and this is just gonna. That's it. Like we just going hard. Okay. But like some days, I prefer. I'll put it like this. I like it when I know what I'm getting into. Like if it's gonna be fire, hot, let's just leave it like that. If it's gonna be chill, okay. I don't like when we up here, then and then we back up here. No. I don't like switching gears.
Surprises.
I don't like them surprises.
I noticed that about you, like, cause when I came in to class, what was it, Monday? You're like, I don't know what to expect. Like, I wonder what's gonna happen. Like, you definitely want to know like what's going on. You want the itinerary, like what's going down, like.
Cause like that's the thing. If I don't know, but it's so fast that I don't have time to think about it, I'm okay with it. But if I got time to think about it, I'm like, man, this is weird. I'm up here and I'm down here and I'm busy now.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. So do you feel like that's like because you feel like yoga is something like that helps bring you out of your head, and like when it's like choppy like that, you feel like you might like get back into it? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because it's like physical and mental for me. Where I'm like naturally trying to relax as much as I can.
Yeah.
So when I get stuck in that rut of relaxing, it's hard to get me back into like flow mode. But at the same time, if I don't get that head of steam going, it's just not really gonna happen.
It's
so
not
when
gonna
like I'm getting up, when I'm ready, I'm going, and then it's no, we're not. I'm just like, what's happening here? Why did I even get out of bed? Why did I come here? I just chill.
I'm crying. Man, I'm ready to question the whole reason you came out the house. Okay. That's understandable. No, I get it. Because for me, like, I feel like I'm somebody who like can always get caught up in their head. So yoga for me is like a place that reminds me to like tap back into my breath, but also to like just like descend from my head for a little bit.
Yeah.
So like I definitely like appreciate like fiery practices or like practices that challenge me, because like for one, like the act of like getting physical and like doing all of those things, it like brings me back into my body, my breath. And it's like, oh, like I learned things about myself, like, oh, I didn't realize I could do that, or like, oh, I need a little work on this, or like, oh, like when I breathe like this, like it feels a lot better, like I can get more into the stretch, or like even just like noticing like where my thoughts go, like when some things get hard, like I used to be like really mean to myself, like, oh nah, like you can't even do a lunge, challenger, like, you know, like, just, like, really, like, be down on myself. But now,
Yeah.
like, when I get to those places, it's like, oh, no, like, you could do it. Like, so I feel like that's something that yoga has, like, taught me along the way, like, tailoring the self-talk and just, like, really getting back into my body and my breath and, like, staying out of my head for a moment. So I feel like it's, like, I don't want to say it's a distraction, but it's, like, it gets me out of there for a second.
Definitely.
Like, and then also I feel like me personally, I feel like I can relax more when I wear myself out. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel
Yes,
like,
that's what I was thinking.
like if I have a day or a week where like I'm really busy, like I'm doing yoga, I'm dancing, I'm working out, it's like even like just like the day, like I notice like when I go home at night, it's easier for me to wind down if like I wore myself out physically. Like, I don't know, that's just like something personally like that I've learned about myself. So like it's definitely relatable. And also like now I'm thinking about Shavasana. Like, Shavasana for me can be really hard. Like, because it's like, now I just did all of that. Like, I was in my body, I was in my breath. And now I'm laying still again. It's like, my body's like, I'm back. Like, so it's like, and I'm like, no, like, we're not doing this right now. Like, so sometimes, like, if I really wear myself out, like, I can Shavasana, but like if I didn't, like I feel like my mind just like turned right back on. Like I don't know, like it's hard sometimes.
Like when I do Shavasana at home, I'm always like, but I could be doing this, or I could be doing that. It's
When you think about what you gotta do next, you gotta cook, I gotta do this. Like just like no, I'm relaxing right now.
Rarely do I do like a full Shavasana. But what you said, it kind of reminded me of like. Maybe I still have this like feeling of I need to do work to deserve the rest part. That's like going on with me because like I always feel like I gotta keep pushing myself to get to that point where I can relax. Like I used to do like before I eat, I have to do push-ups and sit-ups and stuff. Like I do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that's in there. Like that feeling that. I have to go out of my way to deserve relaxation. It's kind of, I don't know. I think that's a program I could drop. It's not necessary, you know?
Yeah.
Everybody deserves to relax.
Right.
I ain't no mule. So.
And I don't think like it's an inherently like a bad program or like that you probably even intended to make that program that way. Like it makes me think about like, have you ever like watched Dave Chappelle?
Which, no, yeah, I was like, I thought you were going to like.
I was gonna cry. Okay, I'm like, okay, you have to see Dave Chappelle. Like, okay, like, okay, all right. Like, I was concerned. I was like, you saw my face. Like, all right. But I'm thinking about this skit when he was like, when keeping it real goes wrong. Like, it makes me think about that. Like, cause that. Like the reward system that you're talking about is like, okay, I have to do this and then I'll reward myself with like rest or like that can be done positively, like but I just feel like maybe like it got too wired into a space where it's like you started to like overkill on it. So it's like I don't think it's a bad thing, but it's just too much of a good thing. Like you can do too much for us.
Cause it was like the point where I felt like I deserved rest was when I couldn't do anything else anymore. That's why. Like I would get to the point where, well, I guess my leg is hurting, so it's time to rest.
Oh my god! It's like no, now you gotta rest. Like
I don't know, my shoulder like is kind of down here, so weird.
Yo,
So
I'm cracking up. No. Well, there's no other option now. Like, oh wow. Okay.
like. I'm telling you, this last year was so much healing for me because I was like, I had chronic shoulder issues. I'm like, what is this about?
Yeah.
And then I couldn't see the obvious, like, this, that. Like, the fact that you do that.
It's me. I'm the issue. I get it. I really do. All right. Okay. Well, I feel like this is like the perfect segue So, do you feel like yoga has assisted you in making like any changes or transformations in your life? Like, how so?
Yeah, for sure. Because I figured out that for me to do this, I have to develop certain habits. Like, so I had to stop smoking weed because that would make me chronically procrastinate, and I would like eat whatever. I would stay up late. Then the next day would come, and it's like I'm recovering from the stuff I did the day before. And I started hearing about these cycles and wheels, like I forgot what they called it, but like the cycle of karma and the washing machine thing. I'm definitely in the washing machine right now, trying to recover from last week. Like, and then this week I'm trying to get into more stuff. No. Like, I just had to like look at it like that. And then thinking about meditation. Meditation was like a big one for me because I started realizing the stuff that distracts you when you're trying to meditate, the stuff that's negatively affecting you or like causing you to go into negative self-talk. It's probably stuff that I should remove from my life. Instead of like trying to battle it in a meditation, like why don't I just clear my conscience of like having better actions so I don't have to dwell on it. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does, but I think of so many different things when you're saying that. So could you just give me like one example?
Well, one example is like playing video games and wasting time. Like, I could have finished a project I said I was going to do. I could have just read a book or did something productive instead of intentionally wasting time. Like it's like what they call a time sink, just something to pass the time, entertain myself or whatever. And then I'm sitting there in the meditation. I'm thinking of this game, this movie, this stuff that really doesn't have anything to do with me at the end of the day. I didn't learn nothing from it. I can't really share that with anybody else. It's just time in front of the screen, passing time. So stuff like that. The class with Nicole where she was talking about like the different oils and stuff you can use, different ways you can like clean out your body and all of that. It made me realize that like the little stuff that I could be doing to support myself, I didn't even know about, like much less do it. And, like just realizing that yoga could be more than just the poses and the whole lifestyle type of thing.
The journey that you spoke about with weed, definitely relatable, and it also made me think about what you were speaking about earlier, like the reward system, like when you're like, oh, I have to do push-ups before I can eat. Me personally, I'm like trying so hard to get out the washing machine, so like I've definitely been in the washing machine with weed before, like. So much so where like it came to the point where like I realized like that I felt like I needed weed to do anything. Yes. Like pretty much like when I woke up like, I needed to roll up
right there with
before
you?
I get the day started. Like, I need to roll up after I get out the shower. If I gotta go to work, I definitely gotta roll up.
For sure.
Like,
that's not even a question.
So I gotta roll up before I go to work. Like, then when I get off, I need at least 2 roll. Like, sometimes I might even have to step off on break. Like, and take a whole scene.
Like, if I knew I wasn't gonna get caught, that was a daily thing.
Like, literally. Like, and then it was even to the point where sometimes I didn't give a fuck if I want this. Like, it became like to the point where I was like, if I'm upset, roll up. Like, if I'm saying it, roll up. Like, it was like that was the answer for everything. And I'm like, I probably need to step back from this a little bit. Like, and then also noticing, like, what it did to my pockets. Like,
that too.
It was a point where, like, I literally, like, this was me trying to change my life a little bit, like, baby steps. But, like, it was to the point where it's like, all right, I realize I'm spending so much on this. Let me put it in my budget. So it was like in my budget. It was like, all right, I only could spend this amount on it, like every 2 weeks or whatever. And after that, that's it. Like, so that was a way that I started to scale back on it. And then I also use like the reward system like that you were talking about. And like, I would do things like, okay, I can't smoke until I do yoga, or until after I work out, or after I get XYZ done.
Yeah.
And for me, that was a way to like be much more like intentional about it, rather than just like waking up and like or like reacting to every little thing with like, okay, I need to smoke. And it was like before I knew it, like I was smoking less and less. Like, and even like on an emotional standpoint, like if like I find that like I'm really upset, then I'm like, nah, I'm not about to smoke, because that's just gonna take me into a place where I'm gonna start overthinking and like you said, like just start following that trail of negative thoughts. It's like, and I was calling myself trying to escape the way I felt, but really it's just like now I'm just sitting here like overthinking hard as shit about the reason why I was upset. So it helped me to be like a lot more intentional about it, and like just make sure I'm doing it like because I enjoy it, or because like I want to relax, or because I want to have a good time, rather than because I feel like I need to, or like I feel like I'm dependent upon it. Like, so that's definitely been like a journey for me to like letting go of the weed.
It was hard for me. I felt like
it was very hard at first. Like that's why I implemented that like reward system. I'm like, nah, I gotta do something here. Like,
I felt like I couldn't do that. Like I felt like I actually had like a kind of addictive personality to things, because I was just like, I first got into weed because it was just like a way of getting out of the regular rut. You know, it's like, yeah, we geeking, like, yeah, everything's good. The music is better, the food tastes better. It's like, then after a while, it started giving me like panic attacks, and then I would keep going back to it even though I kept having these panic attacks. And it was like, what am I doing? But at the same time, I couldn't stop. I was just kept doing it.
Yeah.
I was just like, man, just so. Because it was like, it got to the point where I was basically trying to escape reality intentionally.
Yes.
And I didn't even know what my base reality was anymore. Because I would wake up, smoke. Before I eat, smoke. I'm about to go to work, smoke. Like on a break, smoke. Right. After work, smoke. Like, what even is a regular Justin anymore? I don't know. I've been smoking for years.
Literally. I've literally been there. Literally, like it started off as just like a fun pastime, or like way to escape on the weekend or whatever, and then before you know it, it was like you had to have that escape in life just to cope with life.
Yeah.
I get it. I really do. Like, and then it's like you said, like I started to think like, well, how do I even feel? Because like I'm numbing the way that I feel.
Yeah.
Like anytime I feel anything arising, roll up. Anytime like that I feel like, oh, like my arm is hurting or whatever, roll up. Oh, I got a little cold going on, roll up. Like whatever the issue is, roll up.
Like that's why I kept putting off like the shoulder stuff and the leg stuff, because I'm like, man, this might be alright if I just smoke.
Real shit. Like, it's like, no,
maybe
it's not.
Like for one day, just see what's going on.
Like, just check in with yourself. Like, no, I definitely get it. All right, okay. Let's see what else I got going on here. Has yoga like influenced or like led you into finding like other avenues of self love or like self care?
I'm more open to the body work type of stuff. In general, I thought it was just like massages. I didn't know about Reiki or any of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Reiki, I thought was like fake. I thought it was just like something people are trying to scam, to be honest. But that whole realm of like energy work and acupuncture and stuff, I'm like, oh, there's something to this.
Yeah.
So I've had acupuncture done,
How was
and
it?
it was weird.
Yeah.
Because I can't get over looking at something sticking out of me. But
Yeah.
afterwards, I felt like I released tension. Definitely like beyond just like breathing in the poses, but like intentionally breathing and being mindful of that.
Yeah.
It's a big thing. I used to I think this is probably why I had anxiety so much too, is like only breathing up here all the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't know you could breathe all down here, and like it's a whole different world that I got unlocked for me. That actually made me start paying attention to what I was eating too. 'Cause I felt like that would like lead to congestion and stuff. As far as oh, Tai Chi. They had that at the Chinese martial arts too. Like that was basically the soft stuff we would do, just like flowing, stuff like that. And I was just like realizing that that's something that people start when they're like 20 years old, and they keep that into their like their senior years. Just those simple movements, those simple grounded movements, like letting your body flow. Like, I started going back to that. Yeah, that's all I could think of right now.
I feel like that was a lot. Like, as far as like the diet change, the acupuncture, Reiki, body work, Tai Chi, like that's a lot of ground, I feel like. And also Reiki, I didn't know much about. I feel like I still don't know much about it, but like I didn't even know what it was until recently. I've heard a lot about acupuncture, but I've never tried it, and Tai Chi as well. But I feel like I definitely have had experience with like noticing like the things I'm eating and like the way that I feel in my body when I'm eating a certain way versus like when I'm being a little bit more conscious about what I'm putting into my body. Like I feel a lot more energized and like you said, less congestion and like less tiredness, sluggishness.
Yeah.
More. I said that already. More energy. So yeah, I feel like those are things that have definitely like influenced me as well. I like I had something else to say though, but I definitely.
Because there's this thing called like the nadis, which are supposed to be like the energy nervous system, if you think about it like that way.
Okay.
Sometimes they get tangled up and blocked up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's dealing with that stuff. Acupuncture is supposed to deal with that too, somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of funky for me. I just felt like somebody stuck some needles in me.
I'm just not
I
into
felt-
needles. Like I don't know.
You gotta do this
It's
close
not
your
my
eyes
thing.
or something.
Like, but the thing is, like, I'm weird. It's like, even like when I go to the doctor and they give me a needle, it's like I don't want to look, but also at the same
But I'ma
time,
look.
I gotta look because I need to
Yeah.
make sure that you're doing the right thing. Because
I
if
feel
you
it.
ain't, then I need to know. Like, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so it's like weird. It's like I don't want to look, but I gotta look. And it's like I don't know.
I be looking at it like, that's a lot of blood.
Yeah. And then it comes out so fast. It's like 1 second it's there, and then the next thing you know, it's like a whole
Yeah,
cup
I
of your blood.
probably
And it's
need
like,
that.
yeah, I'm like, taking all my energy. Like, what you about to do with that? Like, I just be thinking too much. Like, they probably making cones and shit. Like,
Oh,
what
shit.
they fucking doing? Like, I don't know. Like, I was like, what are they doing with it? Like, I don't know. My mind just goes crazy places sometimes. But yeah, like even tarot, like things like that. Like I didn't know about like any of that recently.
I watched this whole like 7-part thing where he was explaining it, and at the end of it, I was like, "What?" I mean, like it just went in one ear out the other.
Yeah.
I get it, but I don't get it. I get it, but I don't get it. It's basically like, from what I understand, it's these archetypes you're dealing with that is supposed to relate to the consciousness that people had at times. But as far as how intuition comes into play and how you can, because it's like a random set of cards. Like, how are you getting the card? You putting it down. It gives you a message, and it makes sense. Like, I don't understand how does that part work? Because most of the time it makes sense and it's completely relatable. I don't get that part at all.
Yeah, that's funny.
Like,
I think that's like, well, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I feel like I also, that's the part I don't get. But I feel like a lot of tarot readers or like energy readers, they are very much like okay with the concept that like you're not going to necessarily get it all the time, but you just like trust your intuition. You just like, you trust your gut. Like, you get what I'm saying?
yeah.
And for me, like, I'm a big overthinker sometimes, so I feel like a lot of times, like, what I used to do is like overthink, and I still struggle with it, like overthink or like even like think myself out of my gut. Like, my gut will tell me something, and I'm like, no, because logically A and B is this, and this is this, like, and then something will go down, and it's like, you should have trusted your gut. And it's just like, sometimes like our brains, like, they can be distractions, like distracting thoughts and ideas and things can like come into play, and like that's the time where we gotta like you said, like tap into like the internal world, and it's like, but what do I feel? Because all of these thoughts and all of these ideas or whatever, they're like worldly, like they came from somewhere. Like you said, why are you even here? Like, why is this thought even here? Where did this thought come from? Where was I first introduced to this? Like, where did I learn this? But then scale it back, and it's like, okay, but what is my spirit telling me? Like, what is my gut telling me? So I feel like it's, so I feel like tarot and just like life and spirituality in general, like I feel like that's what my journey has been like trying to differentiate, like, okay, what's intuition? What's my heart or my spirit telling me, and what's just a thought? Like, I literally remember like writing down one day, because like I was just having so much trouble with it. I just wrote down, a thought is a thought. A thought is just a thought. Like, I don't have to sit here and make a whole like novel based off of this one thought. Like, and like overthink myself into like a place where I don't even know what to do. Like,
everything you said is so relatable. Like, I came to the point where I was just trying to think to the end of everything. Like, why is this here? This is here for a reason. Just going. It's like, after a while,
where did that go?
It's like, I don't know if you ever saw this thing before. It's like this labyrinth thing. It's like the stairs are going up, and then you got stairs that's like upside down and stuff. That's basically what it is. Like, you just going and falling and trying to, and it don't go nowhere. So
yes.
You gotta get out of that.
You made me think about one of my tarot cards. Like, it's like literally like a stair step, like literally how you just described, like going around and around. And like the card that's on is the devil card.
Oof.
So like that card, like a lot of times is about like the idea of holding on to things that don't serve you, and like kind of being in a space where it's like you feel like you're tied down and you feel like you're bogged down and you feel like you're like stuck in a place, but like at any moment you can let go of that thought, or like at any moment like you can let go of that idea, like at any moment you could walk away from the washing machine. But sometimes we can be like that thing that keeps us there or make us feel like we're bound, or like not even just like the mind, like the flesh. Like, as you know, like the cards could mean so many different things, but like that's just like one thing that like stuck out to me. Like you said that staircase, like I literally saw that card.
For sure. Cause like what was just coming to me is like I feel like society doesn't really train you in what the mind can be used for. I feel like the mind can mostly be like your imagination, your dreams, and projecting that into like what you want to be. Like once you get into like, but what about this and what about that and who's gonna be there and what if I can do it? It's like it's nothing but torment in that. It's like it's really nothing but torment. Once you had it in your like your mind, this is what I want to do, in your heart and your gut. Really, that's all they had to like. You could have left it at there and just like kept moving your feet, but for some reason, we attached to that mind. I feel like with the intuition though, like that was a big thing that came to me. Like especially when I was thinking about like how weed and pretty much a lot of other substances would be like getting me out of what reality is to the point where I didn't even know what my intuition was. I didn't know if it was like an urge talking, an addiction talking, like intuition talking, basic human needs. Like I didn't know. So I had to like remove as much as I could to get back into that. So I had described this to somebody before where I feel like my thoughts go from like 1, 3 to 9. And I don't know how it got to 9. And maybe that's okay to just let it be like that. Because I was always trying to figure that out. Like, how do you know that? Based on what? Who told you?
Wow. That's interesting. I feel like that's interesting. Like, I can do that, and then there's other times where it's like, I feel like I just trust myself, and I don't really question why. Like, I used to always like just like say or like know certain things or like be able to talk about certain things, and then right after I'd be like, well, I don't know how I know that. And I was just like, I don't know, like, but I knew that though, like.
Yeah.
And I used to just like big myself up, like, yeah, but I don't know how I knew that though, but I knew that. Like, it was like, I feel like that's a moment where like I was trusting myself and I was trusting my intuition. But then there's a lot of times when I can get in my mind and I'm like, but how? Like, how do you even like notice like where does this come from? Like, who am I to say this? Like, who am like? I'm me. That's who I am. That's who I am. Like, my intuition tells me like that this is what it is. Like,
I had something to add.
Go ahead.
Cause like I was thinking about, I don't know if you ever heard of those people they call like seers and channelers and stuff. And I was always thinking like, how do they have access to this information and nobody else does? And I just felt like the energy and the information comes to the people that resonate with it and the people that can use it. So even though like sometimes I don't know what this is about per se, it's generally what I am interested in anyway. Like when I feel like I'm speaking my truth and it comes out in a way that makes sense. But like, cause it's also going back to like overthinking and stuff. So like, I started thinking about like all those negative self-talk and stuff. And it's like, I gotta put this over here because I don't even want to associate with it. I don't want to even make it seem like I want this to keep coming back. I was trying to think of it like a garden. I was like, this is a weed right now. I'm not about to water this. I'm about to try and clip this if I can.
Yeah, get it from the roots.
I was always. It's weird to like try and watch it and see what the intuition is because, like we were saying, it's like it's not something you can capture and fully. You know, you can't put it in a bottle like that.
Right.
But I don't know. I just felt like I should try and work on when that intuition comes across, like trying to honor it.
Yeah. That's definitely like been a journey for me. Like trying to, like you said, like honor when that intuition comes about, but also like you were saying, like discerning what's intuition or what's just a thought or what's like a urge or things of that nature. Which brings me back to what I was saying as well. Like that could also be an issue. Is like because what if it's coming from a person who doesn't know how to discern what's intuition versus what's ego versus what's an ideal that they learn from somewhere else or like what's harmful. Like you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.